Welcome back to the episode. Been a little minute. Been about a few weeks. Our Pistons had us a little nervous, a little worried. They was playing during the recording usually time we record, so we had to take priorities and watch them games. But yeah, no, just kind of gonna dive in here, talk about the insane 3-1 comeback that they were able to pull off. Um, Probably just take most of the time there. Won't be with y'all long today. Probably take most of the time there talking about that, and then we're going to talk about the Cavs series as well. The second round, the semifinals. They were able to beat them by 10 last night to start, to take a 1-0 lead, punch them in the mouth. Just like love how they came out, a lot of energy, scored like 40 points in the
Yeah,
first, had a couple buzzer beaters like going into like the end of quarters. Felt like LCO was just electric. But yeah, I think overall we'll just dive into this 3-1 lead that they were able to come back on and talk about Cade and just how he's been kind of leading the charge overall. Since what are your thoughts, E, as far as the last round and how that went?
yeah, no. So I would say having a sweating back against the wall is 100% kind of how I felt as a fan at that point in time. It was, you know, kind of bad territory. There was times in during that sixth game when we were down 20 points. I was half had a podcast on. I got the game on podcast on. I'm already kind of got the season wrote off, and
Hmm.
but the team, the poise of them to come back, fight hard, not count themselves out, and even to get back into that point of it, down 3-1, uh, brought it at at that point it would have been 2-3-2, and then you spun out, but then you found a way to get back in, and then Game 7 just kind of routed them. The poise of Cade, the poise of Bickerstaff made a couple of right adjustments. I feel like got some people out of there that wasn't playing well in Durham, put some people in to get his good minutes in Reed, and just kind of got Durham resettled in. I
Hmm.
mean, it was grim at that. We talked about Durham getting completely posterized. Would have went down, probably still go down as all time dunk, but if they would have won that series and clowned us, I mean, that would have been the stamp mark of that series. Us
Oh
going
yeah.
down 4-1, him doing that dunk on him, and it would have been it. So I would say just poise of the team, engage that man. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, man, overall, like, so we'll take a ton of time on it, but I think if I had to describe last series in one word, it was just growth. Like, I think you just taught this team to grow up in real time. They came out a little sluggish game one. We're able to kind of, turn into the team they usually are game two, take that one, drop a couple in a row, you know, you looking like, you see all these statistics, how many teams have been able to do it, what the percentages of winning the series when you're down 3-1. Yeah, and I like how they just kind of went at it. I think Cade, like, you hit on the head, he locked in, average what, 35 a game in closeout games. Like, yeah, I
35
just
77 or something like that.
yeah, 35, 7 and 7 in closeout games. I mean, these are like LeBron, Luca, like, I mean, these type numbers,
Historic
these type
numbers.
stat like historic numbers. I mean, I'm sure Magic did it, a couple times, like I'm sure you've had some of the greats just kind of pull off these type of numbers. So it's kind of sometimes it doesn't feel real that we never thought we'd see us getting number one pick and it being like a bona fide star. So just give him a
Yeah.
lot of credit. Tobias Harris kind of been carrying, coming up clutch certain situations. And like you said, Durham's able to weather the storm, finish strong. He was playing solid on defense for the most part. I think the offense is definitely lacking.
He was
Um,
just
yeah, it was just tough. It was tough sledding on offense for whatever reason, but I'm just glad that they were able to figure it out and just push along and survive in advance.
no, you spoke on the growth of the squad, and I think that's exactly it. Because think about rewind the clock to last year, kind of in the opposite spot. We got out ahead of New York, let them get back in the series, and then we squandered what we took advantage of at the beginning of the series, winning that game on the road, and then
Yeah,
squandered it later in the series. Whatever, there was a bad call or two, but we let it go. Fast forward a year, we're about to let it all go again. Waste the whole 60-win season. I'm texting my dad saying, "Hey, if we squander a 60-win season, we got to reevaluate a whole lot of stuff. We got to we were just people were just they just got rid of Bickerstaff for not getting done in the playoffs. Maybe that is the case. Maybe you started bringing up a lot more question marks that getting through that series answers a lot of those.
Yep.
Winning your first series since me and you sitting there in geometry is an accomplishment. We were in geometry and Cade was in like second grade, so that just shows you how long of a time it's been. And Tobias Harris showing up big. That's exactly what we paid you those big bucks for. Was to bring maturity to the team, get him into these type of positions, and then a guy who's had a lot of playoff experience to take advantage of that and come up big. So all that momentum rolling into Cleveland, or Cleveland rolling into Detroit, I should say. We did not let down in game one. I would say I was ecstatic. But how do you think game one went? Kind of overall feel. Big lead, let them come back, finish strong again, and it kind of it's kind of a
Yeah.
story of
I think
first
I think that's a
lead in the half quarters and the last.
yeah. I think that's just the formula, man. I think they just got to come out hot, hit him in the mouth, and just be able to just kind of. I mean, really, I don't know. You call it kind of like a boxing match. Just kind of, you know, keep them at distance, and just kind of be, just kind of be able to win it. They're able to weather the storm. 'Cause Cleveland, they went on like 4 or 5 different like 8-0 runs, 7-0 runs in the second half,
Mhm.
and I think every time they do that. We call it hot timeout. I think we did a good job of just like getting the ball to Cade or running a play for Duran, just kind of getting something easy, just kind of like getting the crowd back into it. So I think as long as they can kind of just continue to do that. They won by 10. Harden didn't play well. Donovan Mitchell will probably play better. Guys gonna be locked in. So I just think it's if you can find a way to get that second game and really, really put the pressure on them going back to Cleveland, find a way to steal one there. I mean, it could get real interesting. So it's gonna be a matter of how they gonna show up. And I think they're off to a strong start. So he's got to see if they can maintain because they're gonna get a haymaker on Thursday. So this is gonna be a matter of like, can you weather that one and
Yes,
possibly pull out another win?
right. I think you kind of look at this game, and I would say the biggest questions I have is how much of that can we replicate again? Um, the defense intensity has been there most of the season, but it kind of re-amped up second half of last series. It showed up 80-90% of the time in game one of this series. So if you can replicate that, I think they're in for trouble. If we can hit anywhere around that 10, 11, 12 threes a game, that's, I think, our sweet
Mm-hmm.
spot. We can keep the floor spaced, keep people honest, and however we got to get that. Cade seems to be heating up here, so he's making big strides on that. Last night, Duncan Robinson went off, so I think it was good to kind of see it. And the offense in general looked like it was free flowing.
Yep.
We looked like we were moving, kind of at ease. Freedom of movement is what I would say. A lot more than in game one, where it was kind of a slugfest. This was a
Mm-hmm.
lot more. It seemed more open and more free, which I think could play into our advantage, especially when we're shutting them down defensively, and then we're getting out running the court, letting our athletes get loose. Ron Holland got back out there, so I think we've seen kind of a different gear of what this Pistons team can look like when we're not in a complete dogfight, and we're going to play some guys who are looking to score and shoot a little bit themselves. Between Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, you're going to get a game or two from each of them. So you got to weather
Yeah.
those storms as well. But did a good job of bottling them up game one.
We got at least one more stinker coming from Harden.
Yeah, for
Hopefully he
sure.
found his way to Legends or Pantheon, and
Yes. Yeah.
we'll definitely catch one. So it's good to kind of be able to get him because it did get a little concerning. I think they did at least come back and tie it or at least get within three at one point. Where I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. See how they respond to Cleveland's adjustments and Cleveland's punches that they're gonna throw starting out the gate. It's kind of cool seeing Dennis Jenkins like do his thing, show Schroeder while we let him walk to Sacramento of all places as well. So shout out to Dennis Jenkins. Looked a lot comfortable, a lot more comfortable this at least game one than he did the last series. But
You got
we'll
10
be back with
seconds.
y'all next week to kind of probably know the result by then, honestly.
Yep. Go
Um,
Pistons.